Hello, everyone. Yes, I just thought I would catch you all up. I've been waiting for ages now for a phone call from Jimmy Mulville of Hat Trick, and it finally arrived yesterday. And well, it's just an interesting time to be in this fight, really, because there's a phrase William Gibson has, or not phrase. I'm not sure what you would call it. What would you call it? Anyway, it's one of his, and he says the future is here. It's just unevenly distributed, and the future is indeed here in the form of Ricky Gervais's new special today, Dave Chappelle's special. These are very successful comedians who are doing very well, and they're going to make millions through all the work they're doing for Netflix. But at the same time, there's people like me who've been fighting this for 6 years. And we continue to be just kind of beaten up in a dark alleyway without anyone helping us. Because sure enough, yesterday Jimmy told me that they won't be moving ahead with me attached to the Father Ted musical. Now I've been kind of I've changed my the way I'm dealing with all this. At first I was going to be quiet about it. Because I was protecting the show. But unfortunately, my position here is too important to back down. Like Jimmy at one point said to me, we don't want to take sides. We don't want to be drawn into this. But the thing is, by not supporting me, they are making a point. By trying to get rid of me, they are taking sides. They're taking the side of the people Alison Bailey is in court fighting today. Alison Bailey is the black lesbian barrister who was cancelled in various different ways. And one of the things she was angry about was the Overcoming the Cotton Ceiling workshop by Morgan Page, a man who's still on Stonewall's website. Overcoming the Cotton Ceiling refers to the so-called problem of lesbians not wanting to sleep with as Ricky Gervais puts it, women with penises. It's for standing up for those women, those lesbians, that I'm being punished, and that the TED musical is being sacrificed on behalf of these ideas. Another idea is that there's such a thing as trans kids, and that these kids must be put on puberty blockers and receive surgeries, or they will commit suicide. I think that's the current line. This goes against every bit of evidence we have. These children are being put on a medical pathway unnecessarily. The girls are going into early menopause. They're getting hysterectomies. They're getting double mastectomies. I said this to one person at Hat Trick, and they said literally, I don't care. I wrote a letter to Hat Trick just before they told me, well, let me read out this letter. I just said, I'm living under a bit of a cloud when I don't think you all have my back as collaborators or as business partners or as friends. Far from being on the wrong side of history, J.K. Rowling and I have been proved right over and over again. This is a poisonous ideology that is destroying lives, and both sides are not to blame for the toxicity. If you doubt that people are not on my side, please read the comments under this Times piece. Sonia, this is addressed to Sonia Friedman, who once said to me that I was on the wrong side of history and then changed her mind after J.K. Rowling came out as a TERF. I said to Sonia, you know how J.K. Rowling has suffered and how her heart must break every day. Stop telling me to stop standing up for her and my daughter. My daughter is not a cervix haver. She is a woman and she is my daughter. Don't anyone dare use TED as leverage to make me abandon my daughter, or I will simply take it elsewhere. I'm sorry to have to put it in such strong terms, but these people are monsters and everyone needs to start standing up to them. I can't force you to be brave, but I can ask you to stop adding to the pressure that is currently on me. The next time I heard from Hat Trick, sorry, not to bring Talkback into this, they didn't do anything. The next I heard from Hat Trick, they brought me to a meeting and they told me that they wanted to give me money to step away from the show. 200 grand they offered me, and hilariously, it was my own money. They wanted to pay me in advance on my own royalties. Now, I just want to kind of remind people, I have worked on the Father Ted musical for 7 years. I came up with the idea, came up with with a lot of the song concepts, came up with most of the structure. It's really my baby. I convinced Arthur to do it. It was easy to convince Neil. It continues to be a great idea. It's not like a kind of a karaoke version. We will be calling it, because I don't doubt it will be made one day, but we will be calling it Father Ted: The Final Episode. It's a nice ending to the Ted kind of story after, the first tragic ending, which was Dermot's death. So that's all it is. It's a musical. It has nothing to do with this issue, but it's being held hostage at the moment by trans rights activists and someone who I think are almost as much to blame for what we've gone through for over the last 10 years, and that is cowardly corporations and bosses who should be the adults in the room, but don't stand up for their artists and don't stand up to bullies. It is. I had an interesting thing once when I went into the offices, the Hat Trick offices. The last time I went in, there was someone there who I've known for 20 years, about 20 years, gay guy, and he gave me an absolutely filthy look. This is someone I've been friends with for that long, and of course, never any explanation. Never any reasoning, never any, oh, you're getting this wrong because these people know they're wrong and they just can't talk about it. They can't talk about it because there's no justification. There's no justification for standing by while young kids are getting mutilated and sterilized. There's no justification for autistic kids being put on who are overly represented amongst the amount of kids calling themselves trans. There's no justification for leaving them hanging. There's no justification for the many predators who are identifying into a trans status to get close to women and children. There's no justification for the mutilation of these young girls, the mastectomies, the hysterectomies. There's no justification for the erasure of the word woman, the words being replaced with the most dehumanizing, disgusting insults like cervix havers and menstruators and bleeders. There's no justification for any of it. And yet, they will tell me to walk away from my own show because I stand against these things. So that's where we are. I am hoping that eventually I'll be able to either get it away from them or they will realize what they've been doing. Because this is a historical moment, and if you're not on one side, you really are on the other. And at the moment, Hat Trick are putting themselves on the side of the homophobes who tried to ruin Alison Bailey's life, the homophobes who are now coming after Dr. Az Hakim. They're putting themselves on that side by not supporting me. So all I could say is, we'll see what happens. Like in the end, I'm not going to step back from it. I'm not going to step down. And to be honest with you, I do think that Hat Trick and Sonia Friedman Productions owe me an apology for everything they put me through. There was even a phone call made to my wife, to put pressure on her. That happened while we were still married. So I blame that phone call for being part of the reason why my marriage broke up. So there's a lot of apologizing to be done. There's a lot of kind of, there's ways they can make up for it. I'm actually going to ask them for the amount of money they were going to pay me to step away to allow them to do the musical. So we'll see what happens. We're just going to butt heads, I think, for a while. But it's very depressing because, these industries are so captured, theater and television are so captured that it's going to take a long time for them to kind of come out of it. And as I say, being peaked is distributed unevenly around the world, and And I guess I'm just going to have to wait a little bit longer for the news to hit Hat-Trick and Sonia Friedman Productions. But one thing I will say about Sonia Friedman, how can she stand by after what happened to J.K. Rowling? I know they're friends. How can she not support? How can she think that there's any kind of justification for what she's been through? You know, you're supposed to stand up for your friends. That's what you're supposed to do, especially when it's hard. And no one's doing that. No one's doing that. Anyway, so yeah, is there any other questions I can ask? I know people are talking about crowdfunding, but I think the amount of money that goes into musicals is so crazy big that you'd be able to fund the first week on a crowdfunder. So I don't think I don't think that's going to happen. What might be able to do, and I'm looking into this, is seeing if we can buy it off Hat-Trick, because Hat-Trick, if they just sit on it and refuse to make it, that's just vandalism. There's no reason to do that. They're just kind of, what are they hoping I'll die? Because that's the only way that I'm going to move away from this project. So, why deny people the chance to see this show, which again has nothing to do with the trans issue? Except, of course, it's about another sacred class. Yeah, let me see. Is there anything else I could say? No, I think that's it. I just wanted to kind of catch people up. Unfortunately, I waited and I gave them every chance to catch up and to kind of educate themselves, as they say, about this issue. But it's almost like they still just haven't done the first bit of research, and they're still just going to press on with this, even though the cast review is coming out soon, which is going to completely vindicate us on the subject of medicalization of children. The Alison Bailey trial is ongoing, which has a shocking moment every day. The one today was the most extraordinary possibly so far, where they compared lesbians not wanting to have sex with men, or they compared men wanting to have sex with lesbians to pre-apartheid black people. So there's something like this every day. Of course, it just kind of, I guess, depends whether the people in Hat-Trick are reading any newspapers outside of the Guardian and the Independent. I would imagine Guardian and Independent readers don't even know the name Alison Bailey. So, yeah, so that's it. What a pain. Thanks for all the nice words everyone's contributing. I'm going to keep talking about this. I've got a project coming up that's going to be going into this in more detail. I'm sorry, but you can pretend you're not in it, but if you're ignoring it, you're complicit in it. And that's what I'm going to be proving over the next few months. Okay, thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.